There is no day in all the year quite like Christmas in a plain home, and there is no table quite like the Christmas table. Now, I want to tell you right at the start that Christmas among the Amish is not what you might imagine. There are no colored lights, no glittering tree hung with 100 ornaments, no mountain of wrapped presents, no Santa Claus coming down a chimney. Our Christmas is quieter than that and older, and I think in its own way far richer because it is stripped down to the things that truly matter, the family gathered close, the faith at the center of it, and the great table of food that the women have worked days to prepare. Today, I want to take you into that Christmas kitchen and lay out for you the whole Christmas dinner, dish by dish, the way it has been made in plain homes for generations, so that you can bring a little of that old plain Christmas into your own home this year, whatever your Christmas looks like. Let me tell you first how Christmas comes to a plain family, because the food sits inside the day and you cannot understand the one without the other. Christmas is a holy day, the holiest and gladdest of the whole year, the day our Lord was born, and it is kept as such, with reverence and with joy both. The days before it are given over to great preparation, and much of that preparation happens in the kitchen. For a week or more before, the women are baking the cookies and the candies and the pies, filling every tin and crock in the house. There is a feeling in those days, a gathering excitement, the whole house filling slowly with the smells of Christmas baking and the children hovering and everyone working toward the great day. And when Christmas morning comes, there is no wild tearing into gifts. Though the children may have a small, simple present, a handmade thing, a toy carved by a father's hands, a doll sewn by a mother's. Mostly there is family gathered from near and far, filling the house, and there is the reading of the Christmas story from the good book, and there is quiet joy, and above all, there is the great dinner, the feast that crowns the day. So let me lay out that table for you, and we will start with the meat, because the meat is the center of it. The thing, everything else is arranged around. In many plain homes, the Christmas bird is a turkey, a great roasted turkey, raised right there on the farm, fed and fattened through the fall for this very day. There is nothing like a farm-raised turkey, roasted golden and brown, the whole house filling with the smell of it through the morning. Some families have a roast goose instead, or a ham from their own hogs, cured and saved for the occasion, or a great roast of beef. But the turkey is the most common crown of the Christmas table, and around it, everything else is arranged. It is stuffed, of course, with a good bread filling, and I will tell you about that filling because it is a dish all its own and beloved. A farm turkey is a different bird entirely from the pale, soft thing bought frozen at a store, for it has lived a real life, scratching and roaming, fed on good grain, and its meat has a depth and richness that the store bird can never match. Roasting it is a morning's careful work, basting it faithfully so it comes out golden and moist, and it is the great centerpiece around which the whole day's cooking is arranged. The filling, the stuffing, is one of the great glories of the plain Christmas dinner, and in Pennsylvania Dutch country, it is a particular thing. It is made from good bread, torn up and mixed with butter and onion and celery cooked soft, and plenty of good seasoning, and it is moistened with broth and sometimes bound with egg. And here is a thing that surprises outsiders. Some plain families add potato to their filling. Mashed potato worked right in, which makes it rich and moist and hearty in a way no other filling is. It is baked until the top is crisp and golden, and the inside is soft and savory. And it is, for many of us, the very best thing on the whole table. Better even than the turkey it accompanies. I have known children and grown people too who came to Christmas dinner mostly for the filling and only ate the turkey to be polite. Then come the potatoes, because no plain feast is complete without potatoes. And at Christmas, they are mashed, great bowls of them, mashed with butter and milk until they are smooth and fluffy and rich, and served with a well of gravy in the center. And the gravy made from the drippings of the roasting bird, rich and brown and savory, poured over the potatoes and the filling and the meat. That gravy ties the whole dinner together, and a plain cook takes great care with her gravy, for a poor gravy can let down a whole fine meal, and a good one lifts everything it touches. And around the center dishes, the meat and filling and potatoes and gravy, are arranged all the others, the whole abundant spread of them. There are the vegetables put up from the summer garden or kept fresh in the cellar, green beans cooked with a bit of ham or bacon, corn, sweet and golden, from the summer's canning, glazed carrots, buttered peas. There is very often a dish of creamed celery, which is a particular Christmas dish in Plain Country. Celery cooked tender in a rich cream sauce, and it appears on the Christmas and wedding tables especially. Now, I want to say a special word about the creamed celery because outsiders are always surprised by it, and there is a reason it holds such an honored place. Celery was a prized thing among the plain people, particularly at weddings, where whole stalks of it were set upright in jars along the tables as decoration and then eaten. It was a crop a family grew specially and took great pride in. And to serve creamed celery at Christmas was to serve something a little special, a little fine, a dish that spoke of care and abundance. It is made simply, the celery cut and cooked gentle until tender, then folded into a white sauce of butter and flour and milk or cream, seasoned soft, and it is comforting and rich and unlike anything most people have tasted. And I urge you to try it, for it is one of the true old tastes of a plain Christmas. There are sweet potatoes, sometimes candied with a little brown sugar and butter until they are soft and glazed and almost like a dessert themselves. There is applesauce, homemade, from the fall's apples, which cuts the richness of the meat and brightens the whole plate. There is very often a dish of buttered noodles or the pot pie squares, for a plain family loves its homemade noodles and finds a place for them even amid all this abundance. There are the pickles and the relishes and the chow chow, the bright, sharp things put up in summer, set out in little dishes to freshen the palate between the rich mouthfuls. And a plain table always has these, the sweets and sours, as we call them, the little dishes of pickled things that balance the heavy fare. There are pickled beets, red and sharp and sweet. There are the bread and butter pickles and the chow chow with its medley of vegetables and sometimes pickled eggs, pink from the beet juice. These little dishes may seem like an afterthought, but they are essential, for they cut through all the richness and keep the palate awake. And a plain cook would no more leave them off the Christmas table than she would leave off the turkey. And there is bread, always bread, fresh rolls or good loaves with plenty of butter, the homemade butter. And then when the great savory dinner is done, when everyone swears they cannot eat another bite, out come the desserts. And a plain Christmas has desserts in abundance, for the women have been baking for a week. There are the pies, of course, several kinds, and no plain table would have fewer than 3 or 4. The pumpkin pie, spiced and smooth, from the pumpkins put up in the fall. The apple pie, from the apples in the cellar. The mince pie, dark and rich and spiced, a true old Christmas pie. And very often the cherry and the chouflé and the custard. There is often a cake as well, perhaps a spice cake dark with molasses, or a nut cake, or a fruit cake studded with the dried fruits of the year. And there are the Christmas cookies in their tins, the sugar cookies frosted and sprinkled in the soft holiday colors, the gingerbread cut into men and stars, the sand tarts rolled paper thin and delicate and pressed with an almond, which are a particular treasure of the plain Christmas, and the molasses cookies and the pecan tassies and more kinds than I can name. There are candies too, made by hand in the days before, fudge and peanut brittle and the cream candies and the fondant set out in dishes. It is a groaning table, a table that speaks of abundance and gratitude and love, a table that says, on this holiest day, we hold nothing back. We give our very best. We celebrate the gift of this day with the gift of our labor and our bounty. And to drink, there is coffee, always coffee, pots and pots of it for the grown folk, and rich hot chocolate for the children, made with real milk and cocoa on the stove, thick and warming against the cold. In some homes, there is hot cider spiced with cinnamon and clove and warmed on the back of the stove until the whole kitchen smells of it. And there is meadow tea, the mint tea put up in summer, and sweet cold milk for the little ones. There is a warmth to these Christmas drinks that is part of the whole feeling of the day. The steam rising from the cups, the children wrapping their cold hands around the warm mugs of chocolate, the grown folk lingering over their coffee long after the eating is done, talking and laughing while the snow comes down outside. A hot drink in a cold hand is one of the small good pleasures of a plain Christmas, and it belongs on the table alongside all the rest. Let me tell you what this table meant and means, because it is more than food, so much more. All of this, every dish, is made by hand, by the women of the family working together for days. And that work is itself a kind of worship, a kind of love made visible. When my grandmother spent 3 days baking and cooking for Christmas, she was not merely making food. She was pouring out her love for her family in the only language that never fails, the language of a table heaped with good things made by loving hands. And when the family gathered, all of them, the old and the young, 3 and 4 generations around one long table, and the food was blessed and passed and eaten, there was in that gathering something holy, something that the fancy Christmases of the outside world, with all their lights and gifts and expense, often seem to miss entirely. It was not about things, it was about people, gathered close, fed and loved, giving thanks together for the day and for each other. That is the heart of a plain Christmas, and the great table is its truest expression. I remember the Christmases of my childhood as the warmest, brightest times of my whole life. The house full to bursting with aunts and uncles and cousins, the little ones underfoot, the men talking in one room, and the women working in the kitchen, the windows steamed up against the cold and the snow falling outside, and that long table set with everything, the best of a whole year's growing and raising and putting up, all brought together for this one glad day. And the noise of it, the talk and the laughter, the babies crying and the children playing, the old ones telling the same stories they told every year and everyone loving to hear them again. There is nothing money can buy that comes close to it. Nothing. It is the plain life at its very fullest and best, all its love and labor and faith gathered around one table on the gladdest day of the year. And I will tell you a thing many people do not know, which is that among the plain people, Christmas is often 2 days, not one. There is Christmas Day itself, the holy day, kept quiet and reverent and close with the family. And then there is the second day, what some call second Christmas, the day after. And that day is given over to visiting, to going round to the other households, the aunts and uncles and married children and cousins and friends. And there's more feasting, for every house has its table laid, and you go from one to the next through the day, eating a little here and a little there until you can hardly move. Second Christmas is the merry day, the visiting day, the day the whole community moves from house to house in a great glad round of food and fellowship. So a plain Christmas is not one meal, but many spread across 2 days. And the women's baking has to stretch to feed not only their own family, but all who come calling on that second day. It is a great deal of work, but it is joyful work, and the abundance of it, the sheer plenty, is part of the celebration, a way of saying to everyone who enters, welcome, sit, eat. You are loved, you are family, and on this blessed season, there is always more than enough. So this Christmas, whatever your Christmas looks like, wherever you are and whoever you are with, I want you to take something from the plain table into your own. You need not make all of it, though you may if you wish, and I will give you every recipe, but take the spirit of it. Make something with your own hands, some good thing, and set it before the people you love. Gather your family close, closer than you usually do. Put aside, just for the day, the rushing and the buying and the wild hurry that has swallowed up so much of the modern Christmas, and sit down together at a table of food you made and give thanks and be present with one another. That is the gift that matters, not the thing in the wrapped box, which will be forgotten by spring, but the day spent together around a good table, which will be remembered warm and bright for the rest of your life, and by your children for the rest of theirs. That is what a plain Christmas has always known, and it is a thing worth remembering in these hurried times more than ever. If you would like every recipe for this whole Christmas dinner and every other recipe I know, the filling and the creamed celery and the pies and the cookies and all the rest, they are gathered together in my kitchen field book, waiting for you just below this video. 100 recipes from Lancaster County, going all the way back to 1720, written down the way I would tell them to you if you were sitting right here at my Christmas table. And if you are new to my kitchen, come and sit with me a while. I share these old ways every few days, the food that has crowned plain tables and warmed plain hearts for 200 years and more. Subscribe, and we will cook the whole year together, every feast and every ordinary day. There is always room at my table for one more, and never more so than at Christmas. Until next time, God bless your hands, God bless your kitchen, and God bless every soul who gathers at your table this blessed season.